thank you so much for everybody for joining the webinar. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody. I know we're on the cusp of a holiday weekend, so I value your time. First and foremost, this DB presentation will be kind of a combination of talking about our amazing program, layering the circles, kind of paralleling it to the recently kind of brought to the market Cal Half Dream for All program. So, the Dream for All program, I keep making the joke. It's kind of like a nightmare if you don't understand what you're doing. The program is giving 20% down. So yes, if someone has availability to qualify with a conventional loan at 500,000, now they can buy at 700. But please, I really don't want a lot of the first home buyers to be disenchanted by the beauty and value of homeownership by getting into a situation that might not benefit them. You are getting the home and you are going into partnership with the government, the state. You are now officially in partnership. 20% of your equity is not yours, it's theirs. To pay off, say, $100,000 in a normal market, it's going to take you half a decade. At a normal rate, to maybe 7 years. At 7 years, now you're finally at par. You can choose to sell and walk away, or you can choose to stay in the property. If you stay in the property with that mortgage, you can refinance, get away from it. If you stay with that mortgage, 20% of the future equity is now owed to the gov. That's kind of crazy. It might take you 5 to 7 years to break even, and then on top of that, you still owe them 20% of all depreciation. The short-term benefits of homeownership are still attained through the Dream for All program. That is SALT, state and local tax deductions. You get a $12,000 annual um, tax incentive for mortgage interest. If you're married, filing double, or two people, sorry, not double, you get 24,000, regardless um, of the DPA or putting money down yourself. You will get that, and that's absolutely awesome. But through the new Cal Halfa program, that's all you can really count for the first half a decade as a value because you're not building equity. You're just helping them get paid back faster. And then you owe 20% on top of that. So this is why I kind of have the lead in. You better be very, very forward thinking and say, I'm gonna be in this house until I die. And 15 years in this house, I'll pay them off in 5 to 7. I'll refinance, get away from this mortgage, and now the equity's mine. Sure, good idea then. But if not, if you have a time horizon where you're moving or making adjustments in your life the next 2 to 5 years, it might be a trap. Okay, so we'll go to our program, our down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers. It's absolutely amazing. Um, a little bit, figure out how to advance my slide. Okay, program summary. Our down payment assistance program is eligible for residents throughout California. So we're not held by a census tract, certain areas, all of California. This program could enable you to purchase a home up to $1 million. I am not motivating, I'm not pushing people to buy the most expensive house they can. I truly feel the best way to go into the marketplace is do not ask a bank, a mortgage professional, a realtor, uh, a more ask what's the maximum I can afford. You need to ask yourself the question: what am I comfortable paying per month? And please align my comfortability with the house that matches that through the difference of a down payment or a program. You do not want to get into a house that's too big for you and you're having a horrible situation. Homeownership should be an amazing experience. You shouldn't feel like you're trapped every month because your payment is just suffocating you like an anvil on your chest. You need to make sure you're comfortable. So make sure you handle the payment and then have a amazing realtor and mortgage professional align the property with that payment to meet your goal. So our program gives a forgivable second. The forgivable second is fully forgiven. After your sixth payment, it's done. So now you have programs out there want to give you 20% of the equity, and now you are in physical homeownership partnership with the government. Oh, there's other programs that will give you a 3.5%, Second, so you have a first and a second. It is 100% financing, but now you're paying back two loans. Ours, as soon as you make that sixth payment on the first mortgage, the second, that is our grant funds, is fully forgiven. There's no payment that's due on the second. So you make one mortgage payment to your first, and then it is forgiven. It's done. You start making equity in that property from day one by payment of principal reduction, and you have the owed 3.5%. That's your money. That 6%, the sixth payment, that 3.5% of the purchase price is forgiven. You are instant equity. Not going to take you half a decade with us. It would take you half a year to have 3.5% of your equity now in your pocket. Okay, eligibility. This is the cool part. To be eligible for the program, you must be only one of the following categories outlined to qualify. First-time home buyer. That's it, right? Let's stop there. So, a first-time home buyer is anyone that has not had an ownership interest in a property within the last 3 years. So, if that's you, you are a first-time home buyer. You can be a first-time home buyer again if you haven't had an ownership interest in the property in the last 3 years. The second bullet point is a really cool one. Current slash retired employment or volunteer slash non-paid member. More details on the next slide of a certain profession. Kind of a little hint. This is why we call this program the badges program for us. Income limit 140 of the county's AMI and underserved census tract. Those two bullet points kind of fall into more a traditional DPA program, but 95% of the borrowers that are applying to obtain this financing are cleared by the first two bullet points. Hey, you're first home buyer? Congratulations, you're pre-approved. You're ready to go. The program works for you. Oh, you're first home buyer and you're a certain job profession. Great. The real cool part goes, what happens if you're not a first home buyer? What happens if you've owned a home, maybe divorce, life changes, something happens, you sold the property, you're moving, relocation, and you want to buy a new house, but you don't have all the money you need. You just sold a house 6 months ago. So, gosh, under the traditional guidelines, you're not a first home buyer again. With us, you are if you meet one of the criteria of employment. And here we go. This is it. Any borrower on the loan application that is current, retired, volunteer, or non paid employee will qualify. Please see below. Military. First and foremost, thanks for your service for everything you do for our country. I deeply appreciate everything you guys do, the men and women that serve through all the branches. You'd wonder, why would the military be the top bullet point for DP program? You know, don't you guys offer VA? We absolutely do. We offer we are absolutely fans of the VA and experts. We're so much experts and fans of the VA. We do know that a lot of our clients that are veterans have life issues. Some veterans, some active military might have had a foreclosure, short sale, bankruptcy, or a life event that entangled some of their VA eligibility. So they have two choices. They either pay back their eligibility to regain 100% of their usage, or they have to obtain a traditional financing. So sometimes it's really expensive. Let's say they took a short sale or a loss and they owe $60,000 to get their entitlement back from the VA. That's a lot. So they would need to either look at the path of least resistance, would be a traditional mortgage. Here comes the client to us. We can give that military personnel a DPA program that's 100% of his down payment covered without him paying back that entitlement to the VA. If you're a first responder, police officer, firefighter, public safety, paramedic, EMT, or similar, you qualify. Educators, you know, they had the teachers program for a long time, but it was just that for teachers. Our program covers every single person in education, from the principal to the janitor, you're covered. Medical, there's always been the doctor's program, it's awesome. But beside the doctors, what was available? This covers everyone in the medical profession. If you're a doctor to the janitor at a medical facility, you're covered. You can be a self employed daycare provider and you are good to go. Civil servant in a federal, state, or local municipality. So that's really cool. We're looking here in Vacaville, California, Northern California. We have one of the largest, most amazing bases, Travis Air Force Base. right here in our backyard in our community. So there's a enormous amount of civilian personnel that go through the gate of Travis every day that are not enlisted. They're not military. They're not enlisted, but they serve. That's a civil servant. You walk into your police department, you have sworn officers and you have staff and civil servants. They are just as important, but they're not. Maybe some people aren't sworn staff; they're civil servants. You have that at the state level, federal level, and local. If that's you, you qualify. So, just kind of take away these profiles lists everyone who qualifies, regardless of your first-time home buyer status. If you are a first-time home buyer, then you qualify for these programs outside of these professions. But with these professions, you can get back in home ownership the month after you close as a first-time home buyer again. It's pretty amazing. Here's an example of a DPA program at $600,000 purchase price. Okay, so traditional FHA financing without DPA and closing costs. $600,000 home, it's going to be a 3.5% down payment, $21,000. Um, let's say closing costs, you want to get the lowest rate possible. You have title fees, escrow fees, all your traditional fees, Alta policy, owner's policy, tax insurance, and your origination from the bank or the mortgage company. Estimated closing cost is 25,106.30. Okay. So you take that closing cost plus a down payment, it's $46,000 and change to get into that house with just 3.5% down. It gets expensive. With our program and the combination of an exceptional agent that can communicate and articulate what we're doing to the selling side to create a win-win scenario, it's absolutely awesome. You get the house 600K purchase price, 3.5% down payment, same 21,000. 100% of the down payment funds can or are covered by DPA. The closing costs, this is where the realtor gets involved. We explain the win-win to the seller. Instead of reducing your sales price, instead of doing a price improvement in the marketplace, as we call it now, instead of reduction, you can give them a closing cost credit to cover their closing costs, all the closing costs or some. So this scenario, hey, the seller says, you know what, I want to sell you this house. I'm going to cover your closing cost of 25,000 and change. So that buyer will walk in this house with essentially zero out of pocket. I did not account for the appraisal, which may 650, 750. That's paid outside of closing. And I always recommend that you do a home inspection, depending on where you are in California, maybe it's 350 to 600 to 750 to do a thorough home inspection. Please make sure you do that. It's not a requirement, but you want to make sure you know what you're getting. But if that's you, you can walk in this house with the same payment with minimal out of pocket as opposed to 46,000. That's how amazing this program is. Okay, eligible programs. So I kind of alluded to it. It's FHA only. But the cool part about it, it's not just FHA traditional. You can do a 203K. So you can use our DPA program to buy a house that's maybe the ugly duckling on the block and make that thing beautiful. You can get the house that no one else wanted to put the work into because it's really expensive to buy a house, a down payment, closing costs, and then turn around and then invest money to fix it. So maybe those houses that need a little bit of love, but they're in the great bones to the property. It's everything you wanted, lot size, location, um, bedroom count, all those kind of things that come to the equation. You can get that house, do a full 203K or limited, and qualify 100% financing. It's amazing. Parameters is pretty cool. We're at 620. So a lot of the DPA programs are at about 680. So they've lowered the amount to 620 to match the kind of the Fannie Mae selling guidelines of 620 is minimum FICO score. Even though this is FHA, they wanted to kind of make the barrier to entry lower than typically you expect to allow more homeowners opportunity to get into home ownership. It's a 30-year fix only, purchase only, 3.5% down. Maximum DTI is 48.99. Some programs are at 45 and some are at 50. They're at 48.99. I feel that's sufficient. I'd rather not have you guys not be so high in the first place, but at 48, that's up there. Property types. So 1 and 2 unit primary residence. So let's stop there. This is a owner occ only purchase, but if you find the right property, you can be a first time home buyer, buy a 2 unit property, and not only do you have a primary residence that you bought with DPA 100% financing, but the other unit can be rented out and create cash flow that can offset your payment. So you enter the housing market as a first home buyer already as an investor. Pretty amazing. Manufactured housing, single wide, multi wide condo projects are approved. They need to be approved. The You have to own the land that the single wide, multi wide is on. So if you're looking into certain parks, manufactured housing areas, if you're leasing the land, that's not the case. You need to have a low rise fixed foundation, like a full slab foundation that's deeded, not leased, and you're good to go. Okay, hope all's well. We're a couple minutes over. I'm so sorry for taking a little more time than I wanted to, but I think it was worth kind of going over the highlight of the Calahafa Dream Program. I hate to say it's a nightmare, but it would be a nightmare if you get into this program and don't have the correct expectations, understanding of what you're doing. If you're fully aware of the partnership and the longevity of the partnership, go for it. It's an amazing program. But if you need flexibility and you want to get equity from day one without the connection limitations of working in the government, our program is absolutely amazing. Give us a call. Our whole team would love to serve and assist you. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye bye.